Hey everybody, it's Chad with Edina Realty and Team Dusek, and on today's episode of the Everything Twin Ports podcast, we have a really cool guest here today from Va Bene Caffe in Duluth. Today is our last episode before Valentine's Day, so it's very fitting for us to have a very romantic place to take your special someone on Valentine's Day, and we have Patrick from Va Bene, so thank you, Patrick, for being here today, and welcome to the Everything Twin Ports podcast.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
Awesome. So if some of you guys are watching our channel, about a year ago, we came to your restaurant in the Canal Park area, and we actually brought our camera crew through. We did a dish. We highlighted your restaurant. It was a really great episode. You guys got to check it out. And so today we kind of want to do a little bit more of a follow-up a year later. Obviously, a lot has happened in the world. A lot has happened in our lives and in Duluth. And so we just want to kind of highlight and talk a little bit more in depth about the restaurant and kind of how you guys are doing and kind of some of the things you got going on for Valentine's Day. So we'll kind of get going with that. Just kind of an introduction. What is Va Bene Caffe for those that don't know or not familiar with that area?
So Va Bene is a modern Italian restaurant. We're right on the shore of Lake Superior. We have one of maybe the best lake views in Duluth.
I agree.
Family owned and operated. My in-laws started the restaurant 15 years ago. I bought it from them with a business partner who's been the general manager there almost 10 years. In May of 2019, right about the time that you came to shoot video with us, or shortly thereafter. We're a small, kind of an intimate restaurant. Lots of celebrations happen there. Big, place for birthdays, anniversaries, that sort of a thing. We make all the food from scratch in-house. Nothing's coming out of a bag or a can. It's all prepared fresh from raw natural ingredients, and we kind of take pride in doing that. But we're just kind of a great place to come escape Duluth and take a trip to Italy for a few hours.
That's very true. It's really the view is pretty unparalleled. It's amazing. So with Valentine's Day coming up, do you guys have now that finally we're at 50% capacity for restaurants in the state of Minnesota? So I'm sure you're ecstatic about that.
We are thrilled. It's been a long time coming. We were closed down to takeout only for a while, and that has its own challenges and its own value as well. But nothing excites us more than having guests come in and experience the full experience of having a dinner out.
Well, for sure, it's not like you're a drive-through type of concept. It is
right.
An experience. Like you said, you're going to Italy with the recipes you guys have. It's a very intimate setting, so I'm super excited that we're able to have people back in your restaurant. So at 50% capacity. So Valentine's Day is this weekend. It's this Sunday, but it's the weekend. We're celebrating it all weekend. Do you guys have like a special menu, or is it a regular menu? Kind of how is your menu working these days?
We are doing a few different things. So traditionally, in years past, we do a 5-course seated dinner where we do 2 seatings, and we kind of do a tasting menu, wine pairings at every course. It's a wonderful event and something that we always look forward to as a staff, and also that our guests look forward to. And so we tried to decide this year how to do that with seating capacity restrictions in place. What we decided to do was to offer our normal menu up until 5 p.m., so people can come in and get a lunch date or an early evening dinner date. And then at 5:30 and 8 o'clock, both on Saturday and on Sunday this weekend, we have that 5-course intimate dinner so that people can have the regular menu if they can come earlier in the day, and then those that wish to come do what we've always done in years past can do so. But due to the size and table restrictions, we had to make a choice of either offering the straight menu or the intimate dinner, and that's just something we've always, it's just kind of a highlight of the year to do that type of an event. So
most definitely.
And then we're also offering takeout, and we're hoping that people will pre-order online for those meals because we had an enormous volume on New Year's Eve. We're sort of expecting that same thing. Valentine's Day is one of our biggest sales days of the year, and so
awesome.
Looking forward to it.
That's good. So like that 5-course, do you guys have it's a set 5-course or?
It's set 5-course. We've already established the menu. It's $90 per person, and then there's tax and gratuity on top of that. So it's what I would consider to be a considerable investment for a dinner, but it's wonderful things that we get to be creative on. They're not things that we do on our normal menu. So we have imported cheese and melon with honey as a starter. We've got a wonderful salad with arugula and mint for the greens with pomegranate balsamic dressing and pomegranate oreals. We've got a seared sea scallop on top of crab risotto. and then steak stroganoff as the final course on top of a grilled marinated portobello mushroom. So kind of a fun things that we get to be creative in, and that we hope that people will enjoy.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's $100 per person then
it's about works out to about $125 per head after tax and tip.
Yeah, that's about what you'd pay if you go to another really fancy restaurant in town for a nice meal for sure. Cool. So that 5-course meal that starts about 5:30 when you guys are doing that needs to be scheduled out, like reservations need to be made.
Yes,
for that.
We're actually almost full, I think, on both days on both seatings. There are maybe just a few seats left that people could book. The reservations are right on our website at vabenecaffe.com.
So people need to get on that if they want to get in to the building on Valentine's weekend.
Absolutely.
And that's just for the weekend, that 5-course. You're not maybe reaching out to like Friday night. That's just Saturday, Sunday.
Just on Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, perfect. But obviously you have to-go orders, so those need to be placed as well. And that's the best way to do that. Is cool. Cool. All right, so I guess that kind of leads us into like, what is your most popular dish? Do you guys have like a signature that like people keep coming back for every year, or is it
absolutely we do
ebbs and flows?
It does ebb and flow. I think as we introduce new dishes, there are some that people have really taken a liking to, and those have kind of dethroned our top selling dishes, I guess. But the pesto frutte di mare, it's a seafood pasta with sun-dried tomato pesto and scallops and shrimp. It's something that's been on the menu almost since the very beginning, 15 years ago, and it continues to be one of the top sellers day in and day out. People come to the restaurant seeking out that dish. We had taken some time to do a little menu development with it. We increased the size of the scallops and the shrimp about a year ago, and that just added more value, we feel, to the dish, and people enjoy it that much more.
Wow. So what kind of pairing do you guys? You have a couple different whites that you throw in there with that?
Yeah, we do. There's an awesome white called Vermentino. There's a picture of a crustacean right on the label. It doesn't get any more seafood paired than that.
That's awesome. That's so great. So any menu item that you guys have, you have a pairing that the server would be able to
yes,
offer,
absolutely.
Obviously. That's great. And then on the dessert side, gelato. I know you guys have lots of different desserts. You have, I'm sure, like a tiramisu and some other type of Italian desserts. But the gelato, you actually have, last time I was there, you guys have like a freezer section of that. I guess, what's your most popular gelato that you guys sell?
So by far and away, vanilla, which I
suppose that's like everything else, right?
It's so boring to me personally, but it's also safe. You kind of know what to expect, and ours does have a really nice vanilla flavor in it. So that is the top seller. Next to that would be spumoni, which is sort of it's 3 flavors ribboned together. Ours is chocolate hazelnut and pistachio and cherry. It's not always that, but it's usually a nut, a chocolate, and a fruit. And it's really an interesting flavor combination, and it's not something that people are exposed to very often. So I try to sell that to people, and everybody that tastes it loves it. And that's probably the second most popular flavor of gelato that we sell.
That's cool. So with there have been, the pandemic and people have really kind of hunkered down, and a lot of what you guys have been doing has been, in the past the summer and fall, and has been to-go orders and whatnot. You guys had some outdoor seating and all that. But like, has that given you guys more time to do a little more experimentation with the menu, change some things up? How is the COVID break, I guess? Have you guys retooled or redone some things at all?
Well, the pandemic has certainly reshaped the way that we operate things at the restaurant. It seems like every few weeks there are new recommendations from the CDC, new guidelines coming down from the state of Minnesota that we are always working to adapt to. 2 years ago, we didn't do takeout hardly at all. If we got 4 orders on a Friday night, that was a lot. Wow. So to go from that to now, where half of our business on a night is for takeaway, that presented some considerable changes to infrastructure and to our operations, just as day-to-day basis, hiring new staff that are working to go only. So outside of sort of always responding to the shaping of the restaurant industry, especially in Minnesota, we have had, it doesn't feel like it, but we have had quite a bit of downtime to do menu development. We've got a new dish that we're doing as a feature called Gorgonzola al peperoncino. It's kind of it's been something that we had been working on for probably the last 6 months. I had been trying to make this sort of a buffalo wing blue cheese pasta is what it evolved from. And so it is spicy calabrese salami and our mild Italian sausage with roasted red peppers and sweetie drop peppers, kind of a sweet and spicy, that is all sauteed in a chili infused oil. Nice, really good heat. It's not so much pain as it is just good flavor of heat and spice. And then a dash of gorgonzola cheese sauce and a little bit of fig preserve. And so it's kind of this wonderful combination of flavors, sweet and spicy. So that's something that we've been working on. It took about 45 different iterations to get to the point that we were happy to offer it as a feature on the menu. So it's just a fun thing to get to do and to have all of the staff buy in. You know, I presented the idea and then each of our chefs worked to kind of mold it into what it became.
Wow, that's cool. So obviously you guys are not the type of restaurant that's, you know, getting prepackaged food and canned foods. You are very fresh, very, you know, right off the, you know, the vine essentially. And a lot of your stuff, I would say, is probably imported from distributors. I mean, how has that been impacted with COVID and getting those type of ingredients and whatnot? Have you guys had to find other sources? Or
Yes, exactly. It has been very challenging. Luckily, our distributors and our vendors have been really helpful to work with, but they are also having challenges with items getting stuck in customs or items getting stuck in governmental tariff type legislation. And then just supply and demand. Mm-hmm. There is lots of demand as we ramp back up. So for instance, when we went from takeout only to being able to offer dine-in again, there was a huge ramping up that our vendors had to do to have product available. And even still, there are items that are on our menu that we are struggling to get in time to fulfill what we need them for. So yes, it's been day in and day out a challenge of, are we going up to Sam's Club to get cheese this week? What can we cross to a different vendor and get it on a different delivery? Sure. What could we substitute in place of something that we normally have on the menu? Things like that that maybe is sort of behind the scenes. And a lot of times our guests don't ever have to have felt any of that impact, right? Because we are able to problem solve and resolve what can come in and when and what we could use in a pinch. But it is every week there is something new that is no longer available to be delivered that we typically have.
Wow. So you're like a lot of things, you're kind of just dealing with it on the fly essentially.
Absolutely.
How are we gonna best substitute that? As we get further into vaccines and as we hopefully move forward out of this stage of our country and our world, hopefully it sounds like at least the distribution of those products will be back online for you and a little easier to get.
Yes, and almost always it's a weekly, a week-long hiccup. It's not that we're waiting weeks and months for something to come in. It's just a quick, missed it on this delivery, we'll catch it on the next one next week.
Good.
So we have been fortunate that we aren't waiting, months and months for something to fill that we need on our menu.
That's awesome. Well, that's good to hear you guys are able to get those things. It's very important for the quality of what you guys are doing there. So another question I had was, we talked about the flavors and some of the things you guys have experimented with, but how has travel, I guess, to Italy influenced the menu and as the company was, or the restaurant was started? I know we talked a little bit before we got going here about that, but just kind of how has travel to Italy influenced the menu and the restaurant in general from its founding, I guess, from what you know there?
I think that the restaurant itself began as kind of a take-home from a vacation to Italy, so to speak. Jim and Mary Kay Baraducci, my in-laws who formed the restaurant, went on multiple family vacations to Italy and experienced kind of life in a cafe and had such a wonderful time and wanted to bring that back to Duluth. So from the onset, it was always very important to be following what's done in Italy and also to bring back the quality of not only the food product, but the value and how they prepare it and the methods. So that drove the formation of the business early on. And then we would joke. I worked there the very first 2 years that they were open, and then I left and did a bunch of other things and then came back to the restaurant 3 years ago before purchasing it. So I have kind of a bookend experience of life at the restaurant, and Luke my business partner, has the middle half. And so we would just share stories, I guess, and it was a joke that the Baraduccis would go to a trip to Italy and then come back, and then there would be very intense menu development because they would see something or taste something there that would inspire a dish that they wanted to bring back home. And so throughout the years, as they made their travels, they would bring back a product or a meal or an experience or a painting or whatever it is that would influence sort of the entire circle of hospitality at Va Bene, whether it's a food dish or whether it's a painting on the wall. I haven't personally been to Italy yet, but I always, when I travel, I find the little Italy in the town. So I've been to Boston and San Francisco and New York and other places where there are subsets of Italian culture. And I always let those experiences drive what we're doing at the restaurant. It's not that I see and want to chase a fad necessarily, but that we see, like a perfect example is burrata cheese. It's a mozzarella that is then stuffed with mozzarella curd and cream on the inside. So you fork into it and out pours more cheese. It's a very wonderful type of cheese. We didn't have it on the menu, not for any good reason. It just wasn't something that we had on the menu. And I went to Boston and had it at probably 7 different Italian restaurants and saw many different ways of presentation, and knew that I wanted to bring that back to Va Bene. And so we did, and we tried it a few, actually probably 7 or 8 different ways, and the one that we fell in love with is the one that it ended up on the menu. Quite simply, just basil pesto and cherry tomatoes and a piece of toast and the burrata ball, and then balsamic vinegar reduction on top. So lots of really good, intense flavors, but very simple things too. And that's sort of, I guess, traditionally in Italian, there are not many multiple parts of the recipe. There are a few good things that are excellent, and they come together uniquely to present good flavor. So I'm always thinking about that, and anytime we travel, Luke likes to travel to Las Vegas, and of course there's wonderful culture out there for food and drink, and so he always comes back with new ideas and after seeing what other restaurants are doing in larger markets.
Cool. That's so important to know that it's not, you don't have to go back to the old country. You can find that in these towns and these cities in our own country.
Absolutely.
And to take what's done well and what is sustained long term, those simple ingredients like you talk about, that's what expands over time. That's been there for time, and
absolutely,
to add those features to your recipe. That's great.
Not that I'm not always planning an Italian vacation on the back of my mind.
Oh no, I think we'd all love to go there. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for being here on our show today. It was awesome. I'm actually really hungry now.
I should have brought takeout.
Yeah, geez, I should have. Well, we'll reshoot the show here. But again, thank you so much for being here and being open to coming and tell us about your wonderful restaurant. And if anybody is thinking, especially the guys out there, if you guys are looking for a great option for Valentine's Day weekend, you gotta contact Va Bene Caffe. Get on their roster here for this weekend to do that 5-course meal. It sounds like a lot of fun. If you're not able to get in there in time, do a takeout option. Help out some of these great small businesses in our community. They've been here for a while. So thank you again for being here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this week's episode of the Everything Twin Ports. Have a great Valentine's weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.